So my topic for today is about the intelligent security graph. I would like to take a quick poll. Who among you here are from security operations? Just quick raise of hands. I see a handful. Who among you here are either IT or security administrators? Okay, there's a lot. Any developers in the room? Okay. And then the rest, I guess some of you are data scientists. Any data scientists here? Okay. All right. So I think we have a good mix in the audience. Hopefully, with my talk, while it is highly centered on security, I hope you get to pick some nuggets that's relevant to your respective roles. All right. So for today, our topic would be. So first of all, I'll be sending off my deck to you. No, so because we are under time pressure, so I might be skipping some slides, but don't worry, I'll be sharing my full deck to you guys. All right. So for today, we're gonna walk through 4 key elements. The first one is the intelligent security graph. You'll know what it means later. Microsoft Threat Protection, Azure Sentinel. It's a very new technology that we only launched for public preview this February 2019. And then I'll share with you summary and resources. Okay, so let's start with the problem first, okay? So some of you SecOps, SecAdmin, some developers, some IT administrators. So what's the problem? The problem is the HDMI port, or the HDMI cable. That's the problem. So, let's wait. Let me reconnect. So, first of all, we have what we call the expanding digital estate. No? So traditionally, before the cloud and mobility, we are able to draw a perimeter, physical boundaries in our infrastructure. It used to be simple that time. No? So we're just protecting endpoints like PCs, our servers, and then the network, right? But when cloud came out, it's more difficult for us to protect our data, our systems, because the attack surface has just spread out. Okay, so we have sensors at home or sensors in various industries that brings in data, but at the same time opens up the attack surface. No? So it's expanding, and that's a challenge, I'm sure, for the SecOps guys here and SecAdmins. It's really a challenge. More so these are some of the pains. No? So for the SecOps guys here, the SecAdmins, these are some of the challenges. So first one is around sophistication of threats. No? So it's very complex. No? There's always new attacks that's being developed. Some of the malware that's being developed is targeted. So targeted meaning a hacker would build a malware that's targeted to a specific industry or a specific company or a specific set of population. The next one is around, for SecOps people, I'm sure you can empathize with this. You have what you call systems like probably, we call it SIEM or SIM solution, Security Incident and Event Management Systems, which allows you to collect logs from various systems, no, and be able to hopefully identify possible breaches in your network. However, the problem is current solutions mostly surfaces false positives. No? So what do we mean by false positives? They are not really breaches. And I'm sure the SecOps people will say that every day they get hundreds or thousands of alerts. So how do you monitor that? How do you spot where is the real attack? So normally what happens is the attacks fall through the cracks. Coupled with that, I've seen companies where they have over 60 security solutions that they have to integrate with. You already have this massive amount of alerts that's bombarding you on a daily basis. Then how do you also correlate those signals from the various security solutions? So it's really painful, I'm sure, for the SecOps guys here. Security skills is in short supply. So I read a study where there's quite a backlog in the number of security specialists because it's in high demand. No? So in 2021, they say there's a need for about 3.5 million employees who are specialized on security. So for those of you who are young people here, no? So if you're deciding to shift your career, one of the areas you can probably invest in terms of skills is security. I hear a lot about data privacy as well. But it's in short supply. So how do you deal with all of these rising attacks, no? And then going back to those things like monitoring, security monitoring solutions, for you to be able to make sense of all of these signals, it requires massive amounts of infrastructure. Hardware, servers, it's expensive and it's difficult to maintain. At the same time, it will collect several megabytes or gigabytes of data, terabytes of data. So you need more and more storage as you go along. So it's expensive in monitoring those alerts. And then in today's world, you need to be able to respond to attacks right away. Otherwise, they'll just spread. And it can hugely impact your business. So how do you deal with that? Are there ways for you to be able to automate that? Okay. So these are just some of the challenges, no, that our security operations guys are dealing with on a daily basis. So their job is really not easy. So what we're seeing here is that if you combine cloud is able to manage that complexity. Couple that with artificial intelligence, it's basically supercharging the way you do things. No? So instead of resolving or remediating or fixing a security breach in days, hours or days, you can probably do it in a few minutes or even seconds. Okay, so cloud is the way to go. Now let me introduce the Microsoft Security Graph. Let me show you a short video.
Biggest fear is the payments disappear.
that's the, I hope you heard the audio clearly, no? But it's a background of what the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph is. So how do you describe the Intelligent Security Graph? So think about it as a way by which we're able to synthesize, no, various signals, vast amounts of data that's coming from various sources. No? So just to give you the magnitude of signals that we get on a daily basis, which makes our Intelligent Security Graph providing significant impact to protecting our customers and even our own data centers. It all starts with all of these signals. So the first one is around, so we manage about 400 billion. So we're able to scan 400 billion emails every day. So what that means is we're able to get signals from our Office 365 or Exchange Online and even from our old Hotmail or Outlook.com data services, no? And we're able to see new types of attacks around phishing, okay? Even before the phishing attack happens, we're able to spot it already. The next one is we're able to, we do those Windows patches, no? On a regular basis. So we're able to scan 1.2 billion devices every month, and we're seeing about 5 billion threats detected on these devices every month. So we're seeing a lot of types of malware, where do they come from, what are the new types of attacks. More so, we're also operating about 200 plus cloud services, our own cloud services. So we have Azure, Office 365, we have Dynamics, we have Xbox Live, over 200 of those services. So just imagine the amount of surface that we are protecting in our own data centers. We're not just protecting them, but we're able to get a lot of these new signals. Now, couple that with 90% of the Fortune 500 companies worldwide is on our platform. So aside from protecting these Fortune 500 companies, we're also getting lots of signals from them. So the Intelligent Security Graph is accumulating all of this knowledge. No? We also have our identity services. No? So we have 750 million plus Azure user accounts that we are able to protect on a monthly basis. So imagine whenever there are compromised credentials that's happening, we're able to detect that. We're able to investigate what is the nature of the attack so that we can protect ourselves in the future. No? So we're able to see in those credential attacks, using machine learning, we're able to see this is a normal behavior of this particular user or this identity, and this is what is abnormal. So when you say abnormal, that means it's a potential attack. No? So we're managing that. We're getting signals from our Azure Active Directory. And if you're a subscriber to Outlook.com or you're using Microsoft accounts, or we call it before Windows Live ID, we're also getting signals from there. No? And then, of course, we have Bing, right? So we're getting lots of knowledge also from Bing. So 18 billion plus. So we're seeing in those Bing web pages, as we scan them, we're seeing the web scripting technologies that's being implemented by hackers. What are the techniques they use for phishing, for creating malware. And then overlaid on top of all of these services, we have partners. No? So when we talk about the Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, it's not just about our own portfolio. We're also connecting or getting data from our peers in the security industry. So later I'll show you a slide of other partners that feeds into our graph, like for example, Palo Alto, F5, etc. No? We also get data from researchers, law enforcement, via what we call the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit. No? So in Microsoft, we employ about 3,500 full-time security operations in all our data centers. On top of that, we have what we call the Digital Crimes Unit. So this is one of my wish, no? That if I get to, there's one career in Microsoft I'd like to go to, it would be the Digital Crimes Unit. No? So these guys They partner with Interpol and all of the other security or intelligence agencies worldwide to be able to fight cybercrime. And one of the signals that they get are what we call botnets, no? So that causes some of these malware attacks. So all of this combined is what we call the Microsoft Intelligence Security Graph, no? So signals plus machine learning plus artificial intelligence. And that's what's powering most of the solutions that I'll be showcasing today. Okay, but before I showcase some of the solutions, so I'll be doing some screenshot demos just so you get to visualize some of the real world scenarios, no? But basically, it's very simple, no? So you team up our cybersecurity team, 3,500 digital crimes unit plus all the machine learning. We gather all of those telemetry, we analyze them, and we push it to the step 2 to the end user or to the customer in a condensed form. Okay? So you're able to reduce the amount of false positives. No? So ituturo na namin sa'yo, these are the real attacks. Forget about the other noise that you're seeing in your dashboards. No? And then after that, of course, the customer or the company remediates, fixes the attacks, and then the resolution gets fed back to our security graph, so we're able to, again, refine further our protection engines. No? And then after that, we also provide what we call automation. No? So we have SecOps people, employees. When there's an attack, they go to a keyboard, they do investigations, and they implement the fixes. However, there are certain activities, certain attacks that you can automate. I'll show you an example of how we can automate that. Like I said, I'll be sharing you some of these slides, but here are some examples that's very recent where we are able to, using the intelligence security graph and machine learning, protect everybody in the world, no? From attacks like Bad Rabbit, where we're able to fix the problem in 14 minutes through client machine learning. So this, not sure if you've heard about the malware attack Emotet. We were able to arrest that in real time. We do behavioral-based algorithms that killed that Dofoil Trojan. And then this is an example of a targeted attack, August 2018, yung YourSniff, no? So they created a targeted attack for about 200 citizens in a particular area in the United States, no? Through phishing, no? So we're able to arrest that as well. So those are just examples. There's a lot more. I'll be sharing you later where you can spot more details on this one. Okay, so now you know the intelligent security graph. Signals, synthesizing signals from everywhere. Now, how do we then take advantage of these signals? So I'd like to introduce the Microsoft Threat Protection. So the Microsoft Threat Protection is taking its data from the intelligent security graph. They're getting about 6.5 trillion signals per day, just on email alone. Okay? So we're able to then protect credentials, usernames and passwords of users and admins, all your endpoints, whether it's a laptop, your mobile phone, your your tablet, or all of those IoT sensors that you have in whatever industry you are in, the data, your emails, the documents, cloud apps. So some of us, we have organizations where we allow users to bring their own devices and they download software as a service applications for their personal use. We're able to protect that as well. And of course, when we talk about Microsoft protecting our customers, it's not just about protecting the products that you use from Microsoft, but it's also protecting other technologies that you get elsewhere. We're not just protecting cloud, we're also protecting your on-premise servers, no? Or your on-premise systems. So, for those of you SecAdmins and SecOps, when we talk about the cybersecurity framework, it's all about three things. No? You protect, be able to detect, and respond. Protect are things like setting up a firewall, antivirus, etc., keeping the attacker at the front door. But what if that attacker is able to get in? You need to be able to detect that they are there lurking within your network. And then, of course, once you detect them, you need to be able to respond right away. Hopefully, not in hours, days, but in minutes, or even in seconds. So, sorry to show you a product slide, but for the Microsoft Threat Protection, it's really synthesizing, integrating all of the signals that's coming from all of these and combining them so that you're able to remediate attacks in real time. So let me walk you through some quick demos here. The first one is, of course, let's start with a scenario. So the scenario is, so you have an attacker who was able to compromise an end user's credentials. So in this case, for my demo, it was an Office 365 administrator's credentials that was hacked, okay, using just a password spraying technique. No? Now, the reason why it got hacked was primarily because he didn't have two-factor authentication. He just kept with usernames and passwords. No? So remember, if there's one key takeaway here, start enforcing two-factor, even specifically for your administrators. No? Because if somebody steals your username and password, tapos ka. So that compromised credentials was then used to do scanning on Office 365. So it was exfiltrating, scanning email messages, SharePoint documents to be able to see whether there are any confidential data that the attacker can take advantage of. Now, even if you remediate, let's say nahuli mo, okay, there was an attack. But here, what the attacker did was he already created some scripts on top of SharePoint, on top of the email, probably like an inbox forwarding. So even if you're able to change the username and password of that user, there's a script that's running in the background forwarding confidential data to the attacker. No? So at the same time, that same set of credentials, the attacker uses to do lateral movement. No? So he now has a username and password. He goes VPN and then starts doing what we call lateral movement, moving from one PC to another, finding probably a PC where a domain administrator logs in. So, and then eventually exfiltrates data. So the key thing here is that you do not know, in this case, it's over 200 days already, and you didn't even notice that there was already a breach that's happening in your network. That's why machine learning detection capabilities is very, very important. Okay, so here are some demos. So here, so this is the Microsoft Threat Protection. It provides you, in this view, it's showing you there were some risky sign-ins that's happening in the network. So if you drill down, so we have here a user. His name is Jeff Leatherman. If we double-click on him, here you can see, so there was some leaked credentials. No? So leaked credentials meaning they stole your username and password, and the attacker is probably selling it in the dark web. Okay? Imagine if you're able to compromise, let's say, 1 million credentials, then you sell it in the dark web for probably piso isang credential, then that's a lot of money. So leaked credentials, no? It was able to spot that right away. Now, if we drill down, here you can see Microsoft Threat Protection is able to see that, hey, there's a high-risk score for this Jeff Leatherman, and you need to investigate this right away. What's the benefit of this? So meaning, if you have, let's say, thousands of employees, you're getting all of these alerts. Again, let's reduce the noise, no? Microsoft Threat Protection is already telling you, start with this. You're able to prioritize your activities. If we drill down further, okay, so here, so it shows you, these are the attacks that's happening with that particular user, no? So alerts relevant to Jeff. There's your leaked credentials, risky sign-in from other devices, and then suspicious inbox forwarding. So if we drill down on suspicious inbox forwarding, sorry about that, hindi maganda yung resolution natin, so I keep on zooming in. So here you can see, this one is a suspicious VPN. Also, Jeff Leatherman's credentials was used to do VPN using that PC. Okay, but here is where you see behavioral analytics. No, the intelligent graph will tell you Jeff Leatherman doesn't usually connect from Manila. He normally connects from UK, right? And he doesn't use this computer at all, but now he's using it. Okay, so that's an example of behavioral analytics that's being given to you by artificial intelligence and machine learning. So furthermore, you have puts it in a what we call a sandbox environment, detonates it using machine learning to see if it's really malicious or not. If it's malicious, it will show you via that what we call this one. It shows the user, so that the user will not be fooled by that malicious URL. No? So basically, it's the point there is idiot proofing, providing idiot proof tools so that even if the user is unaware, it gives him very visual cues that there is some suspicious thing that's happening. One of the innovations, we released this recently, again, that concept of safe links, safe attachments. We have a lot of our Office 365 customers who are so happy with Microsoft Teams. Now, in Microsoft Teams, we've also implemented that safe links, safe attachments capability. Oops. So whenever you click on, for example, somebody clicks on that malicious link, it tells you this website has been classified as malicious. No? So that's safe links. No? In Microsoft Threat Protection, SecOps, SecAdmins can also do simulations with end users so that they can test out their security controls and policies. Again, we talked about the intelligent security graph. Everything that feeds here is not just coming from Microsoft, but also from our partners. No? So here are just some of the partners that we have in place today: Palo Alto, F5, Zscaler, Lookout for mobile devices, so on and so forth. And that list is growing. We are also releasing a lot of new signals coming from, or specific to certain industries, especially in the healthcare industry and manufacturing. All right, so we've discussed the intelligent security graph, synthesizing vast amounts of data, okay, correlating isolated points of data into meaningful insight for you to be able to protect, detect, and respond to attacks. We've discussed the Microsoft Threat Protection, which allows you to have integrated view of attacks that's coming from various sources, whether it's O365, Azure, etc., and be able to act on it and remediate it. Now, we're releasing a new product. We just released a new product. It's actually not yet released, but it's more of a public preview. We announced this during the RSA conference, this 2019, which was sometime last month. It's in public preview, so meaning you can test this out for free. What is Azure Sentinel? The SecOps guys, I saw only two hands when I did the poll at the start of this session. But Microsoft now has full-fledged SIEM, SIEM. Okay, so I was hoping that I get an applause for that. But we now have a full-fledged SIEM, okay, and that full-fledged SIEM is now collecting data from the intelligent graph, from Microsoft Threat Protection, and this time even from other systems within your environment, Microsoft or not. Okay, so here are some examples. So I'll just show you some screens here. So this is the primary dashboard. Once you enter to Azure Sentinel, it gives you the number of events that's happening, alerts, cases. You can see here also which cases or incidents are new, are being remediated, which have been closed. So lots of data. Like I said, it's a SIEM, okay? It's able to connect to, so this is the screen where you configure connectivity to Microsoft tools, or you can even connect to network devices from other vendors, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Fortinet, so on and so forth. And like I said, the list is growing. So you're able to do queries just like any SIM, but then again, the queries here is more advanced because it applies machine learning on top of it. When we talk about automation, so when you say automation, you take a threat, you can trigger what we call playbooks or runbooks. Playbooks is basically a workflow. How do you resolve a particular security incident, right? You can do it. If you click on run, it will manually trigger that workflow. Or you can create an automated workflow. Now the question is, how do I create that workflow? How do I create my own runbook? So in Azure, there is what we call a service called Logic Apps. This is now part of Azure Sentinel. So without any coding, you're able to build similar workflows like this. So let me walk through you quickly. No? When a response is received, okay, is triggered, the actions are create an incident into ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a third party. Okay, let me zoom out. That's ServiceNow. Once you receive that trigger, create a security incident, you integrate it with ServiceNow, again with no coding. And then after that, you post that security incident into Microsoft Teams. And then you also send an approval. You create an email, and that email will contain buttons for the approver. So for example, there's an alert that came in, they want to block this specific user and this IP, so you can do that automatically. So once you click block the IP, because the blocking happens on the firewall, that's what happens. It connects it to Palo Alto automatically to arrest the alert or arrest the attack. With Azure Sentinel, we also have a community. No? So it's like open source. No? So you can download a lot of, again, the list is growing, so you can download playbooks, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The last part, so for the developers, all of the things you saw, right? Being able to collect signals from various sources, intelligent graph, third-party solutions, being able to create dashboards, etc. That can be done programmatically using what we call the Security Graph API. So it's an API. So what is the Graph API? So basically, it's a REST API, okay, that allows you to connect, extract from various sources. No? And the good thing about this is that when you build that connectivity, it's like a broker. You only use one credential. So for example here, he's a security analyst. Log in as a security analyst using his Azure AD credentials, and you're able to build custom dashboards like this. This custom dashboard shows you, this custom dashboard shows you by provider. All the events, the alerts, the red ones are high severity, medium severity, the orange ones, the yellow, low severity, no? And it's being extracted from various sources, no? So that's possible using the Microsoft Graph API, Security Graph API. All right? So we talked about Intelligent Security Graph, Microsoft Threat Protection, Azure Sentinel, exciting tool. One of the things I'd like you to read is this Intelligent Security Report. We send this out on a regular basis. Let me show you the table of contents. So here, probably you can read it before you go to sleep, no, or to make you fall asleep. Talks about some of the ransomware that's happened over the past year. What were the industries that were at risk, supply chains, phishing still prevails, and all of those famous malware around the world. with some focus on financial services. So may wanna read this report so that you can brush up or get up to speed on what the threats are currently happening out there. Okay? So with that, I have here summary and resources. Like I said, I promised to send you my deck so that you can consume this content at your own pace. No? All right. So I don't know if I still have time. If you still have time, I'm opening the floor to some questions. So I'm good. 2 minutes. So any questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, do you have a counterpart solution for vulnerability management that you can integrate into Intune or SCCM? Like for example, like the Qualys, say you have a zero-day vulnerability and then you notify and using automation, you do an auto-deployment rule for testing.
Yes. So parts of that is the Microsoft Threat Protection. So I didn't showcase some of that. Let me talk to you offline after this, but some of those are components of the Microsoft Threat Protection. So thank you, sir, for the question. Yes, sir. The man in the middle.
Regarding the ATP, do you still need endpoint security?
Yes.
Remove?
Yes. When we say endpoint security, antivirus?
System Center endpoint security.
I'm sorry?
System Center endpoint security.
Yeah, so the Microsoft Threat Protection, basically, so when we talk about security in Microsoft, it's I do not have my slides with me already.
I have
5 areas. So we have tools. You need to think about protecting your environment in 5 areas. Your identity, credentials, right? So we take care of that using Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory Premium. Okay, but of course you have the intelligent graph feeding signals on top of it. You need to protect devices, right? And that's where Intune, SCCM comes in. So they complement each other to be able to protect. And after the devices, you have the apps and the data. So the data, we have Azure Information Protection. I'm not sure if you've seen that technology already, which allows you to classify, label, and encrypt, protect documents so that it's protected, encrypted while in motion. Okay, you cannot print, copy, forward, etc. And then we have cloud apps. No? So you need to be able to protect when your users are subscribing to their personal Dropbox, personal emails, Viber, whatever personal software as a service out there, and then they start moving documents from their email, from their SharePoint server onto those, you're able to at least control the flow of information to prevent data leakage. And of course, the fifth one is the infrastructure. And of course, underneath it is security management. So the answer to the question, yes, we still need some System Center or Intune for the endpoint.
Okay, so down to our last question.
Yeah, can it manage the hybrid deployment? And how much is the impact on a SOC perspective?
Okay, first question, can you manage hybrid? Yes. So some of the demos I showed you earlier there, where we were trying to investigate where the pasta ticket attack happened, right? So in what were the services that's related to it that were impacted? So yes, that's possible. So various technologies available for on-prem. Like I said, we have Azure Security Center that not only manages security for cloud but also on-premise, plus Windows device, Windows Defender ATP to manage the on-prem. The impact to the SOC, what do you mean by impact to the SOC in terms of?
Manpower, shared responsibilities with Azure Security Center.
Yeah, so SOC. Okay, I didn't know, I'm not sure if I got the question correctly. So what's the impact of this to your existing security operations center. So to me, I think it's really going back to what the problem of a traditional SOC is, no? So volume of alerts, lots of false positives, very expensive infrastructure to, let's say, maintain a SIM, cost of hardware, cost of storage. So there will be positive impact in terms of cost. So you're able to reduce that significantly. I think, especially in the Philippines, we only have a few companies who really have an SOC in place. I mentioned earlier there's a shortage of security specialists, no? So being able to take advantage of all of this threat intel, machine learning, you're able to at least maximize, like I said, supercharge whatever resources you currently have to be able to manage all of those security alerts that's bombarding your SOC today. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Dale, for that very informative talk. So, I've learned a lot while listening to Dale's presentation. So we've known that because of digital transformation, security is also evolving and threats are evolving as well. So who of you here are familiar or really like to watch sci-fi movies? Raise your hand. Ayan. So just like our name for the event today, Future Now, there are a lot of artificial intelligence tools that are now available, and in the future, we'd be able to experience all of those as well. Okay? So for those who wish to transfer tracks, you may do so. Our next session will start with 5 minutes. We'll go back to Lorenzo Taniedo. There are food in the back, so feel free to have your drinks, take bathroom breaks. And so our next speaker is passionate in business development, particularly market research, product introductions, and marketing communications. He has an experience in the fields of telecommunication, enterprise IT, data centers, and the cloud. With a focus on small to medium business, he also has experience in non-formal learning environments and not-for-profits. Here to discuss about enhancing workplace productivity and experience through AI, let us all welcome Lorenzo Taniedo.
Woo! All right, does it work now? Yes. Okay. Mayong hapon, my name is Enzo. Let's keep it short. Call me Enzo. When I first started to do this, I promised to do 2 things. Number 1, keep it short. Number 2, if and when I can't answer any of your questions, I will find someone who can. So let's get that started. To those of you who are walking in, come on down, grab some churros and some coffee. You just missed Dale Jose, who talked about AI and the intelligent security graph. He's seated by the back. Dale, can you wave your hand to everybody? Dale Jose. So if you want to consult with Dale, he just finished awesome presentation. If you just walked in, he's seated at the back. All right. Let me just... Hey, Cortana, set a timer for 25 minutes. Hey, Cortana, set a timer for 25 minutes. All right. While everyone is still working at the back, I just want to show you a few new things which are not on my deck. I just want to show you how AI is changing the way we work. The word productivity is a very, very big word. I'm going to bring it down real simple. What is AI and how can it help you do the simple things in your day-to-day? So for those of you who have Microsoft Excel, some of you play around with spreadsheets and such, what you're going to notice is that there is some AI already rolled into your average everyday Microsoft Excel. One of the things I like to do and I like to show people is, for example, how you can input some data into cells, and with information publicly available on the internet, you can put together something pretty funky. So for example, I can put in companies, Microsoft, Disney, Bank of America, and on and on. Now these are all large publicly traded American companies. And one of the things that I like to do and show is that there's a little icon there, which when you click, again, Microsoft, Disney, Bank of America, I'm connected to the Okada internet. what it will do for me is recognize that I'm probably looking at stocks and trying to do some analysis of stocks. So when I click, I can get a 52-week high, 52-week low, etc., etc. So for the sake of this, let's just say I was doing analysis of American companies. I want to see the 52-week high, 52-week low. I wanted to get their HQ. And then I wanted to do, just for the sake of it, the year of founding. Okay. So expect that more of these things get inputted in your average everyday Microsoft Excel. Things which allow you to connect to the information in the internet so that you don't have to pop open a browser, do your research, copy paste that stuff and put it back in. Lest you think that this is only an American innovation, we can put Filipino companies such as PLDT, JG Summit, Globe, for example, and do the same thing. Again, because the information is in the cloud, it's on the internet. When I perform the same action, same things apply. I can get the 52-week high and low of these companies. I can get, let's see if I can get the market cap. In that case, I can. So a small thing for those of you who like to play around, for those of you who like to watch the markets, maybe you day trade, this is something that might help you. Switch window. Show of hands, who of you have to perform PowerPoint in your daily life? Someone, lady in the front, more people here in the back. I know it's agonizing because sometimes even though you have the best content and even though you know your story and your numbers, it becomes problematic and people get a little bit conscious that their slides look ugly. So for example, I want to do something, shout out to my friend Jay, Rojas Holdings Summer Outing. Let's just say I was in HR and I wanted to present something to the board because I was gonna ask for 2 million pesos to go to Balisin. I'm putting together a slide and it looks really ugly. Venue, program, games, and of course, it's a summer outing, I have to put drinks. This, of course, is the blandest PowerPoint presentation known to man. It doesn't even have Jay's company logo. So Jay, if you're out there in the front, can you help me spruce up this little presentation? Well, first I have to fix my... Ito ba yun, sir? This is good. So I can just do something, copy, paste, drop that in here. And all of a sudden, AI will figure out, hey, this dude is trying to put a cover page. He popped in some text and he popped in a logo. So maybe this is something that he's trying to do. Maybe this is something that he's trying to do. Jay, does this work for you? Ross Holdings. Okay. What I also like to show here is because for those of you who've gone to the experiential booth, we have some facial recognition technology. If Jay wanted to put, let's say he wanted to put a picture of Piolo Pascual to make this very enticing to his Mancom. Piolo Pascual picture. This is good enough. Oh, let's get this one, Summer. Something for the ladies and some of the men. Notice how I can put Piolo in there. And again, it figures out this is a face, that's a logo, so perhaps you want to lay it out like this. Okay? Notice I'm just connected to average everyday Okada internet. I've done this with something as simple as 4G. Jay, do you approve? No? What do you want, Sam Milby? Okay. Now, look at how AI interacts with language. So you notice here I pop in agenda, venue, program, games, drinks. So I'm not gonna pop in and pull that old trick where I get a picture for you. But it lays things out a certain way. Let me do this. So once you can pop in your pictures and populate the slide, it goes on and on. Okay. So all of this will be something which works for you now, today. This is not advanced preview. This is not super secret Microsoft. This is not anything which is not available to the public. For those of you who have to perform PowerPoint slides of any way, shape, or form, super helpful. Work with AI. Use the technology which makes your work easier. All right, let me jump into it. So for those of you who are streaming in, my name is Enzo. We're going to talk about AI and productivity. And the way I like to think about it is how AI makes work easier for all of us, whether you're an individual contributor doing your sheets or doing your PowerPoint presentations, or more importantly, when you have to work with a team, especially a virtual team, i.e. yung hindi mo nakikita because they're in Visayas, Mindanao, Singapore, China, etc. Now, one of the things I want to start is before talking about technology, figuring out, as Dale said, what's the problem or at least what's the scenario. What we're looking at Microsoft and what we're seeing, we compare this every time we meet a customer. If your experience is different, shout at me and tell me I'm wrong, is that meeting needs are changing. The first thing I want to call out is this little factoid up there. By 2020, which is a few short months away, 72% of employees will be working remotely. For those of you who follow the news, we now have a Telecommute Act, sponsored by the former Governor El Rey and Alfie Vargas. For those of you who probably have to commute to work every day and who have to go through traffic, I think the tenor of the workspace is changing such that you will be working from home soon enough. What you'll also see is that today, even today, especially in a company like Microsoft where we have presence everywhere, Singapore, Manila, etc., 56% of people, 56% of meetings will have someone at least calling in, patching in. They're going to need some sort of a remote connection. Okay. Now, what are we seeing? If this is the way the world is going, then we have to be slightly more intelligent about how we conduct our meetings. Okay. Show of hands, who here experiences death by meeting on a weekly basis? I hate that. Who of you experience death by PowerPoint on a weekly basis? Okay. So, what we're trying to do here, and I'm not going to talk about security, I'm not going to talk about AI for good and planting seeds for farmers, etc., is how we can use AI so that we don't have to feel that pain. Death by meeting, death by PowerPoint, death by traffic to get to a meeting with the PowerPoint. Now, one of the things we're seeing is, if you look at the common stresses, and you're going to shake your head or nod your head depending on how much this is relevant to you, is you have meetings which run long. Sinabing alas 3, pero alas 3 hanggang sawa. One who's worked in a big company knows the experience of a 1 to sawa meeting. Second, people aren't paying attention. You have a peanut gallery, you have the julalais in the side, you have the note takers and I don't know what people are doing, but sometimes they're just in the room for the sake of it. Number 3, we don't even know what the objective is, so people come in not knowing what they should prepare. Should I have brought my deck? Should I have brought my Excel spreadsheet? Are we just going to spitball here? People come late, things don't start on time, everyone can't find a common schedule, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is not necessarily relevant to you if you're a bank. It's not a banking matter. This is not a manufacturing matter. It's a people matter. So the question I'm going to pose here is, how can simple AI help us resolve these very people-centric issues? I'm going to jump ahead and talk to you about Microsoft Teams. One of the things we're very excited about, a while ago I said, are you excited? I'm pretty excited about Microsoft Teams. One of the things we're very excited about is all the innovation we are rolling into our collaboration platform. What is Teams? For those of you who hung out and saw Dale speak a while ago, Teams is our hub for work, period. Everything we do happens on Teams. When we come into work in the morning, we open up Teams. When we share documents, when we have to instant message someone, when we have to have a meeting, we open it all on Teams. Now, yes, you can do your chats, your meetings, and your calls. So some people say, oh, Teams must be the new Skype. Yes, a little bit, but that's just a portion of it. What really happens here is your ability to collaborate. So for those of you who have been doing SharePoint, OneNote, sending links, versioning, that stuff, all of that good stuff now happens in Teams. For those of you who are developers, you want to play around with bots, you want to play around with Microsoft Flows, you want to play around with infinitely customizable little doodads that make your work better, Teams is your platform. And finally, Dale spoke a little bit about this, security. One of the things I cannot show today for lack of time, but I really, really like, there is a new DLP feature on Teams. What does this mean? Person A to person B. Person A, huy, narinig mo ba? Masisibak si ganyan. You know how that happens? Chismis. Huy, nanig nyo ba? May bago tayong boss kasi nag-resign si Kwan. That happens in work and that's completely fine. It's probably harmless. But what happens if, huy, alam mo ba, ito ang credit card na pwede natin gamitin para i-charge sa outing natin. Nakita ko sa isang file. Huy, alam mo ba, ito ang lahat na nag-order ng Jollibee in the months of July, June, etc., etc. All of these things which are potentially sensitive, which are very, very personal, sometimes are hard to control. What I like about Teams now is that we are extending that DLP policy right into chat, such that you can potentially block that out. Anyway, I digress. So, when we talk about meeting, and I'm going to fly into the portion where I talk about AI, when we talk about meetings and intelligence, we're really looking at it three ways. Consider how a meeting happens. There's obviously a before, a during, and an after. But what's sometimes lost is that there should be some deeper intelligence behind it, and there should be some deeper intelligence which influences certain outcomes. So what do I mean by that? How many times does it happen that you are texting with someone, Oy, kamusta na yung Kwan? How was your weekend? So on and so forth. And before you know it, you start devolving into a very, very deep conversation about a project, a product, a customer. It happens. Informal meetings escalate into formal meetings. But what happens is, if it happens during a smoke break, a coffee break, or just a tambayan, you lose that aspect. Okay? How much good ideas and how much potential collaboration is lost because you don't have the right scenario for it. Second, how often do you have meetings where people are in and out, whether physically, mentally, they're not prepared, they don't have the right devices, they're probably not paying attention, or they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Or even worse, they should have been there in the first place, but their schedules couldn't match. And finally, how often do we have meetings where even though we send the MOM, the minutes of the meeting, the action items, the assigned tasks, nothing happens kasi nga walang follow-up. Now you'll notice all of that is ripe for intelligence. Intelligence which should shape your before, wherein you have to look at your insights and your history and the context of your meeting. Nagsimula sa kwentuhan, malalim pala siya. During, how everyone participates and what everyone's contribution is, assuming they're important to that meeting. And finally, how you progress and how you take action. So just some features over Teams that I like to talk about. Do you guys remember this clip? BBC Dad? One of the things which we like, and I'll start with a very shallow example and get down to the more interesting parts, is one of the things that you see here is a very distracting meeting, apparently that was the mother of his child being chased. We're super hot on background blur. Using AI to eliminate distractions. Simple lang, di ba? Simple lang pero rock. How many times are we distracted in meetings because of things we see which we shouldn't see? Imagine how you use facial recognition technology in Teams. What does it do? Captures the face, blurs out the background. What's the result? People pay more attention. What else are we doing these days? Who here watches Netflix? Taas kamay. Everyone watches Netflix. Who here watches Netflix binge style? Ibig sabihin, isang buong season. The gentleman in the front, I feel you. Okay. One of the things I like to talk about with Teams is imagine if you could Netflix your meetings. Rating ko yun, ha? Simple concept. This is not a Microsoft concept. If it sucks, blame Enzo. If you like it, Microsoft invented it. What if you could Netflix your meetings? Ibig sabihin nun is, lahat ng meeting mo, naka-record, lahat ng meeting mo, naka-close caption, and here's the best part. If you watch it after the fact, you can play it in 2x speed. Ayos, di ba? I'm gonna show you a cute little trick later on and how I do that. Bear with me because I'm gonna jump and I'm going to dive deeper into how exactly AI is built and why exactly it's going to be important for you as you use this platform. Okay. Baseline first. This is not something na may duwende sa likod na iniimbento lang ni Microsoft tapos may kwan na lumabas. There's actually a lot of intelligence behind this. Natatawa kayo, but sometimes you wonder, what is your AI based on? Well, it's the Microsoft Graph. A version of this has been explained by Dale when he talks about the security graph, but you're looking about all the knowledge on the internet. You're looking at the organizational context. Who's the boss, who's the subordinate, who's in marketing, who's in HR, etc. And finally, you're looking at knowledge, how people interact with their devices, how people like to work. When you put that all together, this is where you have your AI, which makes a difference in your productivity. So, konting yabang, and yes, Microsoft can be mayabang, 450 billion user authentications, 155 million Office 365 users, etc., etc. You get the drill. The reason why it works is because there's literally billions of signals, billions of pieces of information that keep this platform informed. It would be useless without all of that. So, what do you see a lot? But more importantly, what is present today that you can use now, assuming you have Teams? The first is inline translation. I'm super happy to note that Tagalog/Filipino is one of the language packs supported by Microsoft Teams. Having said that, no, Hiligaynon, Ilocano, and on has not yet been supported sa mga Bisaya. Not yet. I am personally leading the charge to have dialects someday, one day, supported. Second, as I said, the meeting recording transcription, as I mentioned, the Netflix of meetings, and finally, background blur. I'm gonna jump into a semi-live demo in a bit, but I'm gonna work with screen grabs for now. It comes out blurry, and bear with the screen, but you'll notice on this little message here, I say to my colleague, if you can't read it in the back, anong oras tayo magkikita bukas? Vinod is here. Vinod does not speak Tagalog yet, so let's assume that he does not know this and he needs a little bit of help. Enter Microsoft Teams. One click, 2 clicks, translate, and magically it becomes, what time do we meet tomorrow? It seems like a small thing, but if you notice where organizations are increasingly multinational, Vinod and I sometimes might have to send messages. I might forget because I'm thinking in Tagalog. He has not yet learned Tagalog. We will teach him Tagalog over beer. Okay? This is something which is super helpful. By the way, this happens in Teams, but if you want to do a whole document in Microsoft Word, if you had to co-author with someone who was writing in Japanese, Spanish, French, etc., and you were doing it in English, you could do the same thing. So try it out. Just a couple of screen grabs also, before I go live on screen recordings. This is what it looks like in your channel after you record a meeting. Okay? Notice you can do your standard stuff, attach your files, put in your OneNote, your minutes of the meeting, etc., etc. But increasingly, we at Microsoft, and we encourage everyone to do this because you have infinite storage if you are a user, have your recording of the meeting in the channel. What does that mean? When someone opens it up, they have the option of watching it on something called Microsoft Stream, which I like to describe very simply as YouTube for your company, i.e. there's no Korean K-pop songs, there's no cats playing pianos, and there's no silly stuff. Content that's owned by you and managed by you. One of my favorite things when I like to go on Microsoft Stream is this little portion, and I beg your pardon again because it's not clear to see. That is a transcript. As long as you speak relatively clearly in moderately slow English, I realize I speak fast, so sometimes what I say doesn't get captured. Speak clearly, speak pretty slowly, all of your meetings get transcribed. How do I personally like to use this? Sorry, teammates, now you know how I don't pay attention to you. I do other stuff when there's meetings happening. It's productive, don't worry. I find the meeting recording, I go into the transcript, and I type in certain keywords. What I like to type in is my own name, ENZO, and it's not because I am self-absorbed, it's because I want to make sure that no one is using my name and saying Enzo will do this, Enzo will finish that. Okay? So if you don't want to play the whole meeting, you can go by keyword. In this example, I put the keyword Teams, T-E-A-M-S, and it shows me by the minute, marked down to the minute and second, which portions of the meeting that word came out. So not only can I fast forward, I can zoom in to parts of the meeting which I like. Finally, sometimes I work from home, as we all do. My favorite spot is on a chair with a green leafy plant behind me. My wife likes plants. Very distracting, like BBC Dad, so before I join any video meeting, I try to blur it out. It didn't do the best job, but at least you don't see the plant behind. Now, simple things. We're not solving cancer and we're not flying a rocket to the moon. But what you realize here is that there's little innovations. AI does work in simple ways which have wide-reaching impact. And coming soon, what else is happening? Remember background blur? Pweh. You can now have customized backgrounds. aka the Petix feature. If you're in Starbucks, kunwari nasa opisina ka. Coming soon. What else? Here's one of the more fun features for those of you who played around with Microsoft Whiteboard. Let's say you're calling into a meeting and all of them start scribbling. This is the business plan for 2020 and these are the targets assigned to so-and-so. And you're calling in and you can't see. Now, what's happening really soon is that just with a plain old camera, the fellow on camera is clearly whiteboarding. The two gentlemen are calling in, but because the camera is on the whiteboard, people now see what's being scribbled on the whiteboard. Pretty simple stuff. Okay? That allows everyone to visualize, but more importantly, to participate. And finally, remember subtitles? Well, what you have now is live subtitles. So what you're going to do here is that instead of waiting for stream and waiting for searching for keywords, if you're hard of hearing, if you're not paying attention, or if you just like to watch your Netflix with captions all the time, this one is for you. Okay? I'm not talking about all the other beautiful things that AI is doing for all of us in productivity, but these are just some of the few which I feel like, in a very simple way, make a big impact. Oh, the last one is proximity-based meeting join. Meaning to say, if you have a Skype room system or a similar system in your office and you have it on your device, then you can pop right in. Okay. How am I on time? 20 minutes, not bad. My timer didn't go off yet. Okay, now, this is really where I like to pause and think about AI. I know some people like to talk about machine learning and all this advanced stuff. But end of the day, I'm a simple dude. I try to understand deep things. I pretend to understand deep things. But I like simple things which make an impact. I like to work reasonably hard. I like to collaborate reasonably well. I don't need to complicate my life. And when things make sense to me, I'm super duper stoked about them. Are you excited? Yes. Yes, I am. What do I want everyone to do? Who here is a Microsoft 365 or Office 365 subscriber? Raise your hand. Wow. First of all, I thank you for your patronage and I love you very much. If you are not yet on Microsoft Teams, get on that stuff. It's super cool. Okay? Install that on your mobile device, install that on your machine. Okay? Choose just one team to form, a V team or an actual team. Choose one project to focus on. For example, Jay's summer outing featuring Piolo Pascual. Oh, imbes na email, mag-Teams na lang tayo. Just try it out. Okay? It takes a little bit to get into. My scientific estimation is that it takes 7.65 days for everyone to understand it. But once you get the hang of it, it's life-changing. Second, for those of you who did not raise your hands, there is a Teams demo for absolutely free. Di ba, Pao? Libre? Teams demo is free, right? A Teams freemium is free. So you can get the free version of Teams. Obviously, it's not as super powered as the paid version, but I highly encourage you to do it. Even if you're an SMB, and I have my heart out to SMBs, I love SMBs, it's free technology which you can use today. So grab a hold of that and get going. Finally, a third thing to do, this is by no means exhaustive. Microsoft is a partner institution, period. We're a dumb platform without great partners. This is not an exhaustive list. You want to take a picture or you want to write down the email addresses of these folks, pester them. If you are, oh, I realize you can't see it very well in the back. I'm going to send this out. If you want to work with Teams, you can ask me, but by my admission, I'm an idiot. The people on this board are far more intelligent and far more powerful, so you might want to consult with them. Okay? I'm going to shout it out. That's TOG, Software One, NTT, Shellsoft, Cat Iron, and FDC. No means exhaustive. Walk around the experiential zone, shake a few hands, give a few business cards, and they will hook you up. All right? Without further ado, that's my time. Shout out to the sound booth who sorted everything out. Please stick around because we have some awesome people who are going to show you a bunch of cool stuff. And give it up for Chaddy. Peace, everybody.
Thank you, Enzo. So that
Welcome,
was very
Chaddy.
interesting. I'd also like to add in that we also have a booth outside that focus on Microsoft Teams. So you can play around with it. For those who don't have Office 365, you can also download the free version of Teams. So a short announcement, for those who wish to transfer to another track, now's the time to do so, because each track session will start their next discussion in exactly 3 minutes. And next up, we'll be having inside SQL servers, data science, and AI capabilities. So I'll see you back in 3 minutes. Thank you. Capabilities, let me call on the OCP Senior Technical Lead of Microsoft APAC, Vinod Kumar. Let us all
Thank
give him a
you.
round of applause.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So here's the toughest part of being a speaker in the afternoon, right? Because after a heavy lunch, when you sit there, everyone is a visionary, right? So what I really expect is that, hey, let's have some spice up. And I got 30 minutes. So I got crunched on time, so I love it's a heavy topic. SQL Server, one of the most boring tools that you can have. The only tool that you can use is SQL Server Management Studio if you have ever used it, and that's how life goes on. But I think so there's a lot of fun in this, okay? The amount of investments that data is doing, I think so we have tons to do. So as part of waking you up, I love Microsoft. I love Microsoft PowerPoint. And if you want to make Microsoft PowerPoint fun, it's always good to go ahead and put that extra energy and then have some fun over here like this, right? Have some marketing fun on that, right? This is all done on PowerPoint. Just 2 clicks, you can do this. So if you want to learn about this, I will not talk about this during my session. Come and meet me after the session. I'll show you how it is done, okay? With that, this is the only marketing slide I have. Many people that know me as a book writer. Yes, if you find something funny, you can look at it. I contribute towards communities, yes, and I love my daughter. With that done, if you have any questions around SQL Server, on data platform, high availability, anything that you're talking about, feel free, catch me over the day, more than happy. I'm here till the evening, okay? So I'll be loitering around in the corridors. With that, let me just go ahead and say, what are we going to do in the next 30 minutes, right? So I've gone ahead and power packed quite a lot of data inside this, quite a lot of technical content. Some of the content you may not be able to find it outside, okay? So there are some parts wherein I've gone deep. But I've tried to also keep it lightweight so that you're able to still have that interaction going on. So SQL 2019, and whenever you start hearing this, how many of you know that we have SQL 2019? Anyone? No? So for everybody else, it's a news. Then what you should do is just go to microsoft.com/SQL. You already have the beta that is available that you can download and start trying out, okay? So it's available for you. The developer edition is free. There's nothing that you have to be paying Microsoft. We are in CTP 3.2.3. CTP is Community Tech Preview. So download it. You like certain things, go and talk about it. You don't like something, come and tell Microsoft in the feedback channels. We have that, okay? So we have that Community Tech Preview that is running. So please go ahead and do it. And what are the foundational pillars around which SQL 2019 was built? There are a number of foundational pillars that are there. I just want to talk about 2 parts to them because you will know most of them are already available, okay? What I really want to talk is on this corner, which is around the intelligent data. There's a lot of investment that SQL Server is doing, SQL Server team is doing on intelligent data. And when I talk about intelligent data, what we are trying to say is that data inside your offices is not homogeneous. That means you have other data sources, you have other databases, you have big data platforms, you have NoSQL platforms, you have so many platforms. But with SQL 2019, we are trying to bring one unified mechanism to access data for your end users. Your end users, your business users don't care where the data is coming from, but they want to know how can I mash up data between my different systems. Okay, so that's one area that we're doing significant investment. The other pillars are something which are very common, lesser known. We are the fastest with respect to performance. Go to TPC, TPC-E, TPC-H. All of these we are leading on the data warehousing and on the OLTP. We are the market leaders in the OLTP for the last 6 years plus by Gartner. We are superseding Oracle in the last 4 years. So all this is testimony. Try it out. I think so it's already there. And I think so I want to emphasize this, the bottom, which tries to show you that we have one unified deployment for cloud and for your on-premise. So it is one code base that can start running on both the ends. We call it as the fast train and the slow train. The fast train is the cloud, and the slow train is what we call it as on-premise. So we keep innovating on the cloud, package it, put it into the next version of SQL Server for on-prem, so that they start getting everything that they got from the cloud, right? So that's exactly what the foundational pillar is. And I think so I talked about this part of it on different things that we are doing. Our investment in security, I think so the two things that you might want to look at, our investments in security is going really big with SQL Server 2019. I don't know if you have heard about, I think so there are data governance laws that are coming in, there is GDPR coming in, there is data classification needs, there is data governance needs. All of that is getting into SQL Server now. So now you can go ahead and classify data inside your SQL Server data saying, these are sensitive. I want to mask it, which was already available, but we are just taking it to the next level, okay? So interesting paradigms coming in. Today's session is about this bottom corner, which is built-in AI capabilities. How many of you know you can run R code inside SQL Server? R, okay? Revolution R is a company that we acquired. We integrated R code, which is nothing but statistical tools and algorithms and models inside SQL Server. So you don't need to actually now run AI machine learning in a different tool. You can run it inside SQL Server. Out of the box feature, no frills attached, okay? We have also integrated Python, okay? That was still last year. And in this release of 2019, we are integrating Java into this. So now you can run Java code natively inside SQL Server. You can run Python code and you can run R code. That's the extensibility that we are really going behind it. The other sides of it, for lesser known from a choice of platform, we are seeing a lot of uptake in the Kubernetes world, right? And also on the Red Hat side, people have gone ahead and adopted SQL Server on Red Hat, keep SQL Server on Kubernetes running as containers. A lot of things have come on that. The best part, let me just go a little bit deep on this. You may start saying that, hey, I've heard so many things from you. What's really changed? Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more on what are you really doing inside the SQL Server. So I'm going to cover just two topics. So to keep it much more simpler, so I'm going to cover the Polybase side and our big data strategy with SQL Server, and then I will cover the extensibility. These are the two topics that I want to really cover so that you understand Microsoft has an offering for the on-premise world wherein we can start doing these deployments. If you have not heard this technology called as Polybase. Polybase is a technology we introduced 3 releases back, okay? We had multiple versions of that coming in. Now, in this 3rd version is when it has gone really, in real sense, it's gone really deep in the way that it goes about executing. So what is Polybase going to do for you, right? It's trying to do a T-SQL way to go ahead and connect to all the data sources that you have inside your enterprise, okay? It's a virtual layer to go ahead and connect to any of your data sources that are sitting inside your enterprise. It can do joins, it can do anything that you want, that you actually wanted to do from different sources, bringing it to one single mode. That's exactly what Polybase is doing. It's taking your big data, it's taking your standard relational, it's taking your NoSQLs that are there, it's taking your standard connectors, which are files, and so on and so forth. So it goes about merging everything into one unified view. If I double click into this, right, what you really call, the industry calls this data virtualization. That's what the industry calls it. So if anybody asks you, does SQL Server do data virtualization? Yes. In the real term, what is data virtualization? Data virtualization means I don't care where the data comes from, but I have a single unified, consistent way to query that data. That's it. And then I have auditing on top of it, I have logging on top of it, and everything else that comes behind it. That's what exactly data virtualization is. So if somebody is asking about data virtualization skills, and obviously SQL Server is one of them that is going to actually do this. The next question comes is, what is out of the box? What should I be going and investing? The out of the box capability, if you really look at it, anything to do with Microsoft, SQL Server, data warehousing, SQL Azure DB, all of this is out of the box with no extra installation. So you just install SQL Server, you start getting all of these connectivity out of the box with Polybase. That's it, okay? And anything else that you want as an external connector, if you have an ODBC connection, that's it, we are done. So SQL Server can now connect to any data source, any type of data source which has got an ODBC connection, okay? That's where it stands. If you have any questions, you can always come back and ask me for more later. Now, what I really want to talk about, as part of this data virtualization, what we have done is that we have created what we call as SQL, we call it as a SQL 2019 Big Data Cluster. What problem does Big Data Cluster really solve? There were foundational problems that any big data team had, right? Customers say that I have these type of data which is relational and unstructured, structured and unstructured data. How do I get a unified query mechanism to structured and unstructured data? Okay, I didn't know. There were different tools and different mechanisms to do that. Polybase in its first iteration was difficult to set up, was difficult to actually monitor. There was enough things that people were finding it difficult. When it comes to big data, the MapReduce job was really slow and it was not able to cache. The worst thing was, when you query it over a MapReduce job, we were not able to pass the predicate to the MapReduce job, which meant that you have to pull all the data from your big data cluster into your memory before you could apply a filter. That's what we call it as operator push, right? All those things were problem statements that customers came back and said, hey, I don't get it. I don't have a mechanism to do this. So help us to actually go ahead and solve this problem. Solution is SQL Server 2019 comes ahead and gives you, hey.
Everyone, I hope you all had a nice break. Our next speaker is part of the business applications line of business supporting Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam as a member of the APAC Dynamics team. He has worked with companies from various industries like banks and financial services, manufacturing, communications, real estate, retail, professional service, and the public sector in leveraging innovations in world-leading applications to drive digital transformation. To enlighten us on AI-powered business operations with Dynamics 365, may I call on Technology Solutions Professionals of Microsoft Philippines, Mike Anger. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hello. Can I start by asking everybody in the room one question? Is there anyone in this room that is not with the IT organization? Can I see a show of hands? One person. I love you, sir. I understand you. If Vinod was still here, I'd tell him, I'd be very, very honest. I stayed awake, I listened intently, and I understood nothing. But you guys are not able to relate. So it's just the two of us talking now. All right, so let's do this. Hold on. Okay. So in the next 30 minutes, we'll discuss more about AI, ML, mixed reality, and how more and more organizations are leveraging this through the fastest growing business applications suite today. And you guessed it right. It's Microsoft Dynamics 365. We will be talking about business applications. Woo! May mga nangiti, pero marami nalungkot. Bakit gano'n? So we understand that business applications is not necessarily the easiest projects when you do it, right? But I think everybody will agree, these are the kinds of projects that are most challenging and most fulfilling. Yes? Isa lang din sumagot. Okay. All right. Here's how we'll do it. I have another 24, 23 minutes, and here's what we'll do. We'll do this, who knows the Hangover, the movie franchise? Yes, we know it? Yes. We'll do it that way. We'll start with the current situation today, and then we'll go on to explaining what has happened that has led to that current situation. Okay? All right. Scene 1. The morning after. The morning after is today. So we woke up today, and this is the current situation. Alyssa Taylor, who is Microsoft's corporate vice president for business applications, in recent announcements have said that, among other things, these are some of the key innovations that are coming your way. Some of them are ready for public, what's it called? Public testing? Public trial? But some of them are really just enhancements of existing AI, ML, and mixed reality capabilities that have been announced as early as September last year. Okay, so D365 Customer Insight is all about you being able to aggregate all information that will lead to you building one single customer information, as otherwise called by most sales and marketing professionals as 360-degree view of your customers, right? What it lets you do is, as all other AI capabilities, it lets you get information that are behavioral, transactional, even social, and those that are signals that are coming from even the Microsoft proprietary Bing information from it, right? It lets you do things like predict when a customer is likely to buy again from you, right? So it lets you predict when there is a lead or a possible opportunity for sales, how likely is a lead to be converted into an actual deal closed, right? Dynamics 365 Product Visualize is a cool capability that lets you visualize and customize products, like equipment in this case, in their native environment. So for instance, you're in your medical facility and you're planning to buy a new, I don't know, X-ray machine, then you'll be able to customize and visualize that X-ray machine while it's a augmented reality, so it's mixed reality. So while you are in your facility, you'll be able to do all of that. If you were selling, then this is going to be increasing the kind of impact, the conversations that you're having with your prospects. Dynamics 365 Remote Assist is also, part of it was released September last year. What it does is, for those companies that actually do field service, then you can go there to check a defective item or equipment, and if you require additional technical specialization, then you can do augmented reality and use Teams, as we've seen earlier, and collaborate with whoever else will be able to help you that's not physically on site. All right? What the update today coming up in April is that now you can actually use mobile devices on Android, and now you'll be able to do that on mobile, because originally you were only able to do it using the Microsoft HoloLens, right? Okay, and then what's different with the virtual agent is that everybody now is very familiar with the various use cases and benefits of establishing virtual agents or chatbots. But this time, what we're doing is we're making it even more easier to consume, to the point where even your folks that are attending to customer calls can create their own virtual agents for their own FAQs or for their own sets of most frequently addressed items or challenges, right? Okay, now this is not an exhaustive list, but this is what we have today, and this is what we have that's coming up that we can see. All right. Scene 2, the plot. So the plot of the movie is that we understand earlier, and for those of you who were able to attend, we were talking about these 3 key components of Microsoft's cloud today. And this is to be able to situate properly where Microsoft Dynamics 365 is. We were talking about Microsoft Azure being able to provide an open and flexible enterprise-grade cloud computing platform. We were talking about Microsoft Office 365, which is all about workplace productivity. And now with Microsoft Dynamics 365, this is the part where we're able to leverage intelligent business applications. And we say business applications, we all know that. That's otherwise known as, in olden days, ERP, supply chain management systems, human capital management systems, talent management systems, right? Okay. Still with me so far? So this is how the plot develops, right? What's different with Microsoft Dynamics 365 is that it will obviously be leveraging the common data model that all of us know. You know Power Platform? Microsoft Power Platform, right? You know Power BI, Power Apps, Microsoft Flow. So while these are all out-of-the-box capabilities that is using a single platform, the extensibility is virtually only bound by your imagination, right? So when you need to extend the applications, you can use the Microsoft Power Platform. When you need to integrate to various other systems, you'll be able to leverage the Power Platform. And because of that, when traditionally CRM solutions or customer relationship management or CX, customer experience, or customer engagement solutions were traditionally not paired with ERP, which is the back end, which is finance and supply chain and HR, what Microsoft has done is it just makes sense to put it on one single platform, and it just makes sense to put it on that platform that everybody else is familiar with, right? Because of that, now we're able to leverage all of those capabilities. That's why it's a modern, unified, intelligent, and adaptable solution. From a business process point of view, Microsoft Dynamics is both looking at the business outwardly from a CRM, sales, marketing campaigns point of view, and inwardly from a financial, supply chain, talent management point of view. Okay? Scene 3, the climax. So the climax is all about, so what are those AI capabilities that are now part of those business applications? Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but just to run through with you, and obviously we're sharing the materials with you. So in the Dynamics 365 AI for sales, I shared that, I was discussing a little bit about that earlier. But with Dynamics 365 AI for customer service, for instance, since you have a good 360 customer view, you know that this person prefers to be contacted only through email and not through phone, right? So it does help you and your customer service representatives provide a more personalized touch also in dealing with customer concerns. Dynamics 365 Market Insights is a bit of an evolution of social listening capabilities or social engagement capabilities. Market Insights is a platform that will be able to let you do at a very high level market research. And with that market research, you're able to get all the various signals that are coming again from multiple sources, including those that are coming from social media, as well as those that are coming from your internal systems, as well as those that are coming from third-party benchmark information and studies, right? So, whereas traditionally it was social engagement or social listening, now it's a broader term with an evolved use case of being able to do market research. Dynamics 365 for customer insights is exactly also what I was saying earlier, where now you're able to have a true customer 360 view. And I'll play a video that will discuss a little bit more about that later. Okay, so let's take a look at an example of intelligent leads management as part of sales management that showcases predictions and the power of the three clouds.
At a given moment, I was also qualified by marketing throughout that journey. Well, after I attended the event, we obviously passed it on to the sales representative. We had a lead. We needed to start to take follow-up actions. As I transitioned into sales here, what we see is that lead, in this case Ryan Martin, was passed on to a sales representative. And immediately that sales representative had a wealth of the LinkedIn network to start engaging with important icebreakers or even seeing what kind of connections they could use to leverage their network and be introduced and have more in common with them. In fact, they were able to see through TeamLink connections all of the colleagues that were connected to the lead they just received. But we also ask ourselves, why did this lead get picked up so fast? And the reason here is using predictive lead scoring in Dynamics 365 for sales, we actually took the top 10 reasons why this lead became a grade A and why it was automatically assigned to that sales representative with a high priority to follow up. And as this sales representative actually started to follow up, they obviously sent emails, they had phone calls, they had meetings with them. Using Dynamics 365, Office 365, and Azure, we're actually able to track all of those interactions and calculate the health score of this particular lead. And in this case, it was good and steady. We can see the time that was spent by us, but also the time that was spent by them. And as a sales representative, as I send them emails, for example, I can actually see if they opened it, if they clicked on the attachment, if they viewed the link, how many times were they responding to us. A wealth of knowledge right here in my sales process.
All right. May I ask who currently has a project of migrating an old sales and leads management and CRM system, a Microsoft one, to a newer version? And or who are those that are looking to replace their existing non-Microsoft CRM and sales solution? So, Vance? So no one's doing a sales CRM project currently, is it? Okay. You must be, some of you I know are actually, so we can talk offline anyway. All right. The reason why I asked is because these are the capabilities that you can now look forward to.
At a given moment,
we can now look forward to. We talked about customer insights, and then let me let this guy show this to you.
At the core of every organization's digital transformation journey, we believe is building a deep understanding of customers by centralizing key data and infusing AI-driven insights into business processes. Today, I'm super excited to announce Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, our newest addition to the Dynamics 365 portfolio. Customer Insights enables every organization to unify disparate data, be it transactional, observational, or behavioral sources, to gain a single view of the customer, ultimately helping them derive insights that drive key business processes. Let me show you how organizations can realize the full potential of their customer data across key personas, specifically business users, analysts, and administrators. I'll start with the business users within your organization. Customer Insights provides the most comprehensive and 360 view of a customer, enriched by aggregated audience intelligence from Microsoft Graph. These 360 views of the customer are AI-infused insights and can be embedded contextually right into the business processes and applications in use every day in your organization, such as Dynamics 365. We also enable you to adapt and extend these experiences using our rich APIs and the Power Platform. This includes the ability to gain deeper customer insights with Power BI, build custom apps with Power Apps, and trigger workflows based on customer actions and signals using Microsoft Flow. Next, for the business analyst persona, Customer Insights becomes the source of truth for customer data and insights in an organization. This includes the ability to discover high-value customer segments or define new ones on top of that 360 view of the customer. Beyond that, Customer Insights enables powerful AI atop the 360 view of the customer and enables you to predict customer intent. This includes the ability to build and run custom machine learning algorithms using Azure ML or using quick start templates such as for customer churn and next best action. Next, for the administrator, Customer Insights radically reduces time to value to bring together all of an organization's disparate customer data and unify it. You can connect all of your customer data with ease, including transactional, observational, or behavioral data from various sources by leveraging our connectors to bring data into Customer Insights. Once that is done, we provide an intuitive experience to unify all of that customer data. At the core, allowing to create unique identifiers across systems where keys don't exist. Again, leveraging the power of AI behind the scenes. And this is all just the beginning. We will rapidly innovate and add new features and updates in the future based on customer feedback. Thank you so much for your time and interest in Customer Insights. We're really looking forward to all of you using it to spark and accelerate your unique digital transformation journey. Thank you.
All right, so one of the things that was highlighted there, I think, is something that's very cool, which is the built-in data quality and built-in matching capability. So that would have otherwise been a project on its own if you were talking about a CRM project, but this time with Customer Insights, it's actually delivered as part of the CRM solution now. Okay? All right. Scene number 4, we're talking about the inwardly climax part 2. So, let me show you this and see how, so we can see how AI is in
using historical data, finance and operations helps organizations predict the future. AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics give strategic insights on upcoming cash flow, enabling better decisions, actions, and outcomes. A common challenge for organizations is predicting when customers will pay. Slow and inconsistent payments restrict cash flow and inhibit both long-term planning and daily performance. Through analyzing customer payment history,
Mixed reality as the third wave of computing will revolutionize many business processes. Okay, so from auto manufacturers to engineering, we even have some projects, okay, to some industries that you never thought that they'd be using mixed reality as a way for them to train their people. Mixed reality is the core component of digital transformation. So if you've seen the demo a while ago on Dynamics 365, they build some application towards the enterprise, okay, towards productivity, towards collaboration. So these are some of the things that will transform your business, okay, to do more things, okay, beyond that what you're having right now. And together with that, okay, just imagine your mixed reality combined with artificial intelligence or AI, together with the intelligent edge, IoT. So you're creating a whole suite of solutions that can run across all your entire business process. So mixed reality is what we call a spectrum. So we have on the left side is actually the augmented reality. So we all know what augmented reality is. It's the like of Pokemon Go, the things that we play every day probably. Okay, those are AR or what we call augmented reality. In the end part, we also have what we call virtual reality. So virtual reality or VR are the immersive type of headset. So what is mixed reality then? Mixed reality is a combination of all these different spectrum of technologies available in the market. So that is, it has all the characteristics and attributes available on augmented reality as well as the one with virtual reality. So that is what mixed reality is. So this is what we call the virtuality continuum, in which you see the reality here, and this is what it actually looks like on augmented reality. Okay, so you place a 3D object within your 3D space, so that is what we call augmented reality. Then, if you reverse that, that is what we call a technology augmented virtuality. So that is a reverse version augmented reality. But there's also what we call a true immersive experience through HMD devices or head-mounted devices. So this is what you probably heard about Oculus Rift or HTC Vive. Those are type of what we call virtual reality. And for Microsoft, they also have what they call Windows Mixed Reality, which I'm going to show you later on. What is HoloLens? So HoloLens is the first fully untethered holographic computer that actually sits on your head. So it's actually a computer. It's a PC that's running on your head. Okay, so that you can actually wear. So one of the things that you can do with HoloLens is, one, holograms can enhance your real world. It means that you can blend your 3D content together with your real world. In the older days, when I do coding, I usually have like 3 monitors around me. Okay, then now using mixed reality, using HoloLens, I can actually create a virtual window on my 3D space, and that becomes my screen. So I'm just wearing one device instead of looking at 3 LCDs at the same time. HoloLens is built on Windows 10, so it means that if you build as a developer, it really excites me. To say, when you build applications on Windows 10, it will run across all the different form factors. It means if you're a game developer, it can run on Xbox, it can run on a PC, okay, and it can run even on holographic devices. So you just code it once and run it everywhere. Other than that, Microsoft offers immersive headset as well. So they partner with HMD manufacturer like Acer, Lenovo, Dell, Asus to bring the mixed reality to to consumer. So HoloLens brings 6 key operational use cases that you can use as an activity. So this is something like that showcases the ability or the capability of HoloLens. So one is it's a heads-up, hands-free device. So it means that unlike the augmented reality, di ba, when you play Pokemon or other augmented reality games or application, you usually hold it in your hand, di ba? So hawak-hawak mo siya while you play it. Okay? With HoloLens, you actually wear it in your head and your hands are free. So just imagine yung kanina when they're doing the field technician application. So they can do that because both of their hands are free. So that's one. Second is, it's also useful for data visualization. Okay, where you can actually, remember, if you're developing on a PC device, so that screen is only the limitations of your canvas. Now, with HoloLens, the entire space, okay, the entire space becomes your canvas. It means I can place objects around my environment. And the good thing about that is, whatever you place within your 3D space, it stays there. It anchors to that location, okay, which I'm going to show you later on. The other capability of HoloLens is what they call spatial mapping. So spatial mapping is a way for it to actually create a map of your entire space. So you would know that you have things around you, okay? So like you have walls, you have ceilings, you have the floor, you have objects around you. So that's what spatial mapping actually does. The other advantage of HoloLens is for remote and collaboration assistance. As you have seen with Dynamics 365, you will be able to use it. Let's say one of the use cases that I've seen is with doctors in the operating room. So they created this one application where you can actually see the actual 3D MIR scan of a person, okay, sitting right in front of you. It's floating in front of you. And the good thing about that one, the problem that they have before with some of the doctors is that they need to move from what they're doing on the operating room, and they have to remove all the things just to look at the MIR scan, which is actually a computer that they need to operate using a keyboard and a mouse. So that is the traditional way of doing it. And they spend half of their time doing that. Okay, so with mixed reality, you can actually cut the cost and cut the time, okay, that they need to spend during operating hours or during the time of operation. The other thing is 3D modeling and product design. So in here, one of the projects that we did is with Meralco. So what Meralco has, they're very, they like the idea about HoloLens because simply things that they used to see on a flat screen, okay, they can now see on an actual 3D space. Okay, and they can actually see all those different 3D model on their 1:1 scale, or the actual scale. The other application for HoloLens is what they call simulation training, which I'm also going to show you later on. Okay, so that one is hands-free data visualization. I'm just going to move forward with this. So, what does make HoloLens unique with the other devices in the market? Okay, one is the hardware itself. First, it is untethered. It doesn't like what you see on HTC Vive or Oculus Rift. It has a long cable that is attached to a PC. But this one, you don't need a PC or a phone. Okay, the device itself is untethered. It's a self-contained device. And the other thing that is unique for HoloLens is the advanced sensors, all the different advanced sensors. So it has a different array of sensors similar to Kinect. So these are not ordinary cameras. So these one are depth sensors, similar to Xbox Kinect, except that they're smaller ones. Okay, so what it does, it actually create a special mapping of your environment. The other thing that it has is what they call transparent lenses or see-through lenses. Okay, the good thing about see-through lenses is when you use HoloLens, your eyes or your vision is not blocked in any way. So it means that you can do your work without interruptions, okay, because your vision is not blocked. Okay, it also has what they call special sounds, okay, so you can actually hear 3D sound in your ear. The other topic that I'll be talking about today is, other than HoloLens, it's actually two topics. The other one is cognitive services, or the AI part. Cognitive services are set of API, okay, we as developer, okay, so it's a set of API that makes it is easy for us to create applications that take advantage of artificial intelligence without knowing how to build one. Okay, kasi some of us maybe we don't have time to create algorithm for computer vision. Okay, so if you don't have the time, then this is the right solution for you. Okay, so cognitive services is a set of different functionalities for AI. So one of those is vision. So with vision, you'll be able to do things like object recognition, face recognition. It even has a capability to detect emotions. Diba? So if the one that they see on the camera is happy or not, things like that. And it is also capable of what they call custom vision. Okay, so that is the customized version using machine learning in partner with computer vision. The other one is the speech capability for cognitive services. So those includes like speaker recognition, where diba, when you watch movies, some of them have subtitles, diba, doon sa ilalim. So using cognitive services, you can do that thing as well. Okay, so it can recognize caption. They can recognize the speaker's voice, and they can turn that into captions, where you can actually see on the screen in real time. Or probably just a few second delay, but at least in real time. And of course, of some other capabilities with cognitive services that I won't be describing one by one because I only have like 30 minutes to talk about this. All right. So we'll be focusing more on the computer vision API, which we actually use for our sample application. Okay. So the vision API includes first the computer vision API. So it uses a camera stream, so it can be any ordinary webcam or camera, okay, that can stream video. Okay, so what it does, it creates what you call clusters of different images. Okay, then it sends those JPEG images to the cloud for processing, and in return, it tells you the information that they seen from that images. So that is how basically it works. The other one is the face API. So the face API detects where the faces are. For example, this is their bar's face. So it will be able to create a block, okay, where the faces are located within the image. The other things like content moderator, which actually enables you to create moderation, text and images within the application. Like as you run a video, okay, as you play the video, it creates it runs a algorithm where it describes everything that is seen from that specific time frame. Okay, so that is content moderator. So what we use within our applications, what we call the custom vision service. The custom vision service uses machine learning, okay, so to process your own data. So it means that you can upload your own set of data, okay, and it will use that as a basis for the computer vision. So other things that they added with computer vision is also support for new languages so that you can translate the different captioning that is actually seen from the image itself. Okay, so that for example, in this one, it says that a black and white photo of a city, then there's also a translation of that to different languages. The other capability of computer vision is for OCR, okay, for recognizing text. For example, for this one, it can read that the card says it's closed, okay, without my glasses. Okay, it's closed when one door closes, another opens. All the have to do is walk in. Okay, so it recognizes text within the image. This is the Face API. The good thing about the Face API, not only that it recognizes where the faces are, it can also detect certain demographics, like let's say what is the gender of that face or that person, what is the estimated age, okay, and some other characteristics like if she is wearing glasses or not. And as well as it also tells you the emotion of that person. Like in here, she looks happy. Okay, so that's the emotion. So what are the different scenarios for cognitive or computer vision? So this is one use case scenario that we work with Toshiba. So this one, they're using computer vision to be able to detect rust, okay, on certain machinery. Okay, so imagine that. In the previous years, they're doing it like manually. They have people going around checking all the equipment. What about those things that are not easily seen by people? Okay, of course, it is subject to, let's say, with ambient condition in the area. But this one, using computer vision, you can actually enhance that. And you'll be able to detect things like this one, like crash detections. The other use cases that we've seen is to identify incorrect configuration. Okay, so just imagine that. If you actually tangled up with all the cables in the wrong location, so as you can see here, it uses custom vision, okay, and machine learning to be able to capture or to be able to recognize those objects around him. Okay, for these scenarios, so he uses like stop toys to be able to detect what type of stop toy is that.